social media is just a cesspool, ain't it?
Yeah. Sometimes it goes too far, in my opinion.
Way too far.
Yeah,
we got social media influencers going to prison on this list, killing people.
Yeah, doing some like just really next level things that they probably shouldn't be doing.
Definitely shouldn't be doing. Starting off with Cameron Herrin, who actually started blowing up on social media after having taken things too far. Herrin had been involved in a deadly accident 2 years before becoming TikTok famous. He was involved in a car crash that resulted in the deaths of a mother and her young daughter. The incident occurred in Tampa, Florida, when Herrin was street racing with a friend. Herrin was speeding at over 100 miles per hour in a 40 miles per hour zone when he struck the mother and daughter who were crossing the road. During his time in court though, Herrin started gaining this cult-like following on TikTok for some reason. People on TikTok started obsessing over him like he was some kind of celebrity. They made fan pages and said things like he was too handsome to go to jail. Just really disappointing stuff. His own TikTok account got huge too, with over 2 million followers. Meanwhile, the legal proceedings continued and Herrin was ultimately sentenced to 24 years in jail. He tried to appeal the length of his sentence, but that was denied, and all his social media accounts were shut the hell down.
Next up, we have Ali Abulaban, who took things way too far after he suspected his wife of engaging in an affair with her friend. At the time of his wife's death, Ali had amassed nearly 1 million followers on TikTok. His content often revolved around his wife and their relationship, which he portrayed online as happy and drama-free. They were often seen partaking in trends and dancing around their shared home. But in October of 2021, things took a dark turn. Ali took the life of both his wife Anna and her friend. Prior to the incident, Anna had asked Ali to move out of the home, which he did, but he later snuck back in, trashed the place, and planted a recording device in his daughter's tablet to record any conversation that Anna might be having. After hearing his soon-to-be ex-wife giggling with her friend, he went back to the home and fired at the pair before calling the police. He was arrested for the crime, charged with killing his wife and her friend, and is currently awaiting trial.
Brandon Andrew Clark had a small presence on social media, but he began contacting a young woman named Bianca Devins, who had a more significant following. The two formed a bit of a friendship, but Clark was planning something. On July 13th, 2019, the two were returning from a concert they'd gone together in New York City. They'd also met with a mutual friend named Alex. But when Clark and Devins had returned home, an argument ensued, apparently because Devins had kissed Alex, which infuriated Clark, who had wanted more out of his friendship with Bianca. Clark brutally attacked Devins with a blade. He then posted graphic images of her body on social media platforms, including Instagram and Discord. Law enforcement quickly intervened, locating Clark at the scene of the crime, where he attempted to then take his own life. It looked like he'd been planning this. He'd brought equipment to film the aftermath, as well as the blade itself. Authorities also searched his computer and found he'd made several Google searches about how to find the carotid artery and other methods of killing someone. On March 16th, 2021, Clark was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison.
Next on our list is Claire Miller, a young TikToker who at the height of her career had a following of about 33,000. Originally, Miller's account was dedicated to lip-syncing videos, dancing, anime, and her family, but her last video posted on the app was something entirely outside of all of the aforementioned genres. A video of a glove covered in red liquid strongly resembling BLOOD sitting in the snow, and a stuffed giraffe also soaked in red leaning up against a tree set to some kind of strange backwards music. If you've seen the video but don't know the story behind it, much like me when I first saw the video, because it actually was uploaded to TikTok, it's a real thing, buckle up, it's about to get super dark as to how the video came to be. Claire Miller lived with her mother, father, and her disabled sister Helen. She was a bit of a loner at school and often felt overshadowed by her sister at home. One day she snapped. Around 1 a.m. she entered her sister's room with a large blade and impaled Helen in the chest and neck multiple times before calling the police and confessing to her crime. On March 10th of 2023, Claire Miller pled guilty to killing in the 3rd degree and was subsequently sentenced to 12.5 to 30 years behind bars.
In June 2017, YouTuber Randy Stair carried out a horrific attack with a firearm at Weiss Market's grocery store in Eaton Township, Pennsylvania. Stair, a 24-year-old employee at the store, opened fire on his coworkers before taking his own life. The incident left 3 people dead and several others injured. And before the incident, he'd been showing some troubling behavior and had posted disturbing content online, including videos and writings detailing his fascination with death and his plans for the attack. He'd also been creating his own web series called Ember's Ghost Squad, based on the character Ember McLean from Danny Phantom, a character he was apparently obsessed with, who he'd also write about in his journals, saying she had told him to kill. He'd also believed that these killings would somehow allow him to cross over into an animated world he'd created after his death.
Next up, we have Lems Behind Bars, the story of a British rapper and a bad business battle. Lems was the former stage name of Birmingham local Taleb Hussain, who in 2019 was arrested for causing the death of Przemysław Golimowski. It turns out that Taleb was more than just a YouTube rapper. He was also involved in a gang. The day before Golimowski's death, a member of Taleb's gang had been targeted, attacked, and robbed by the deceased, along with another rival gang member. In retaliation, Taleb, along with 4 others, broke into Golimowski's home and beat him to death with a golf club and a large blade. CCTV footage taken of the 5 men fleeing the scene was used to identify Taleb and his accomplices. 3 of the men, including Taleb or Lems, were charged with killing in the 1st degree and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 26 years, while the other 2 men were charged with man 1 and sentenced to 12 years behind bars.
In 2015, YouTuber Samantha Wohlford called her mother in a panic, claiming 3 masked intruders tied her up and brutally attacked her husband, Ernie Ibarra, before kidnapping him. His lifeless body was later found in the woods. But it turned out Samantha orchestrated the entire thing. Her marriage with Ibarra was apparently troubled. According to her, Ibarra was abusive. Her plot to kill Ibarra started coming out during interrogations. She just couldn't get her story straight and started slipping up. The police were pretty skeptical of her. One of the big questions was, of course, like why she called her mother while bound instead of contacting the police first. Her explanation that she could only dial with her face wasn't really working in her favor. I mean, how many numbers are in 911? 3? Regular phone number, what is it, 9 numbers? 10 numbers. Bit of a difference there. I find it a lot easier to dial 911 with my face. The 3 men who killed Ibarra got 50 to 93-year sentences, but Samantha got the harshest punishment, 99 years in prison, after evidence of her planning the killing surfaced.
Next up, we have Mahek Bukhari, a fashion-loving TikTok star with over 130,000 followers, who aided her mother, Anne Serene, in ending the life of the man Anne Serene had been seeing behind her husband's back. Talk about family drama. In 2019, Mahek's mother entered into an affair with a man named Saqib. For 3 years, the pair met multiple times at restaurants and hotels, but in 2021, Anne Serene decided that the fun had worn off. She was done with the affair. Saqib wasn't happy, and he threatened to show explicit photographs of himself and Anne Serene to her husband if she broke things off. Instead of continuing the affair, Anne Serene offered to pay Saqib $3,000 for his silence. He agreed, but little did he know that Mahek and her mother had come up with a plan to enlist Mahek's friends to run 21-year-old Saqib off of the road when he came to collect the money. Both Saqib and his friend passed after the chase caused them to smash into a road barrier, causing their vehicle to go up in flames. When Mahek was arrested, she tried to use her fame as a bargaining chip. She was like, "Do you know me? I'm like a TikToker." It's online. It's a really messed up video. It ultimately failed, though, and her mother were both sentenced to minimum terms of 26 years and 9 months, random, for the double killing.
Dan Bilzerian is a social media influencer, gambler, and businessman. He's known for his lavish lifestyle, love of parties, and he has a huge following online. Bilzerian presents himself as a playboy, often sharing photos and videos with scantily clad women, luxury cars, private jets. He claims to have made his fortune through poker and business ventures, but a lot of that apparently comes from his father. Dan has been arrested multiple times for various offenses, including kicking a model, Vanessa Castano, in the face during a brawl at a Miami nightclub. He was involved in a legal matter with an adult actress named Janice Griffith during a shoot for Hustler magazine. Bilzerian was supposed to throw her off the roof of a house and then into a pool. Hitting the edge of the pool and breaking her foot wasn't really part of the plan, but that's what happened. Griffith tried to get $85,000 out of Bilzerian, but it was rejected. And I mean, you know what? Fair enough in this case. I think the blame really lands on Hustler here. What does rest on Bilzerian's shoulders, though, is this whole front he puts up about being a self-made man and owning all these properties and fancy yachts. He is wealthy, sure, but the trust fund from his father certainly helped a lot with that, and apparently a lot of the lavish lifestyle he shows online is thanks to misappropriating company funds from Ignite International, a company he runs. Apparently all the private jets, the yachts, the models, it's all charged to the corporate tab of Ignite.
And finally, we have Bad Barbie, not to be confused with Bad Baby, although they are similar in some ways, I guess. Bad Barbie, aka Kelsey Turner, was a former adult model for a certain bunny-adorned magazine who, after leaving the organization, created the Instagram persona Bad Barbie. In 2019, the beaten body of Kelsey's former psychiatrist was discovered in the trunk of her abandoned car just outside Las Vegas. Kelsey, her boyfriend John, and her roommate Diana were all charged for his death. Kelsey, who pleaded guilty but maintained her innocence, was sentenced to 10 to 25 years in jail, and her boyfriend, who also pleaded guilty, received a sentence of 18 to 45 years. Kelsey's roommate, who was charged as an accessory to the killing, did not receive jail time due to her cooperation with police. During investigations, it was discovered that Kelsey, who was actually pregnant at the time of the killing, and her psychiatrist had had an intimate relationship, and over the years he had given her around $750,000. While that doesn't explain why she killed him, no one can really know that but her, it certainly opens the door to some interesting theories.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
A lot of these influencers have a very negative influence on their fans.
That's true. Be careful who you idolize, guys, because they might turn out like one of these people.
Yeah, I almost put Andrew Tate on this list and I was like, oh, I want to get into the weeds with that. That could be a whole video.
Well, you guys would all be arguing in the comments.
Oh yeah, oh man. I've been your host, James.
I've been your host, Hannah.
We'll catch you in the next one.
Yes, we will.